Hey Build Fam, Tayraygun here. Hey, have you ever gone on Amazon and were scouring for building block sets and came across this sunflower house and kind of wondered, is it standard blocks? Is it any good? What's the build like? What are the lights like? Well, I'm here to answer all those questions for you with a full and honest review of the Xbert sunflower house. Coming up.
Ray goes Legos, bricks and toys.
Alright, Toy Fam, so, I had said that this was one of those things that I got off of Amazon. Didn't really spend that much on it, probably 30 bucks tops. And it's one of those that's got a lot of pieces. It's got over 1,500 pieces. I think it's like 1,580 to be exact. So there's a lot of pieces and parts to it. And for the most part, a lot of this is pretty good. But there are a few things in there that's gonna make it kind of questionable. And I really want to break down every single one of those things. Now, as we normally do whenever we get into a review, I like to look at the box, then I like to look at the instructions, then I like to look at all the good, and then I'll finally look at all the bad. So that way you can make an informed decision yourself and become a better budgeted brick builder that we all want to be, right? So with that, I say it's time for us to go in and let's start this review. So let's start this review where we're actually looking at the box portion of this. It is a rather large box. I was actually quite surprised just how big this box is, but it's kind of on the same lines as some of the Lumabrick sets, mid-size sets or so. At 1,500 pieces, this thing is packed full. There's quite a bit of stuff in there. Now we get the Xbert up here. We get a nice kind of horizontal image of the box and everything in it. We get of course, a picture of the sunflower house. We get 66119, 14 plus 1,500 or 1,580 pieces. Yes, I would definitely say 14 and up. There are wires in here and there's some build techniques that even I, as someone who's been building for almost 40 years or more, was very frustrated with. So there are some key things in here that, well, we'll get into that when we get in the review. Now, going over on the side, of course, we get a little bit of a thing here, free brick light parts. We get, of course, lights. We get this light set. We get a socket with jacks, and we get a battery pack. Now, I did not end up using the battery pack. When we talk about the actual build, I'll talk about that in both the good and the bad. There's some decent stuff about this as far as the battery box, but I personally, if I can, not use a battery box unless it's a vehicle. I'm going to try to step away from that. Of course, we get the whole sunflower house here. We're getting to see the opposite side, of course, with the power line here, which is a nice part of the build. We get to see that it's modular, and we're going to make sure that we have a key note on that. Of course, we get a top, we get all sections, and it shows everything as it breaks down. Now, over on the side, we do have that more pictures, so we get to see one side, the front, and the very top. And that's going to be it for the box. There's really nothing else for us to see for this particular box, because all the other info is going to be on your booklet, and it's going to be within the build itself. Now, as far as the booklet does come into a whole book like this, which is nice. Sometimes we'll get some of these sets that are like fold outs, or the booklet it feels kind of weird. It doesn't feel like an actual booklet. This is a bound booklet with a lot of directions in it. I like this. I like that they have this and they're not going with a full PDF. I know some companies are pushing more to PDFs. I personally am not the biggest fan of that. We get to see some things about Xbert bricks here, and then we get to see the architectural design. Oh my goodness. The design allows the building to automatically adjust according to the position of the sun, optimizing the collection of solar energy. I I'm not sure how that works, but okay. Of course, we get to see everything as far as like size of bars, bricks, the actual builds themselves. They even break down the way that we do the electronics, which is nice. Now, the base of this is actually, I believe, a 16 to 16. It's a little bit bigger than a 16 by 16. It's like 24, but it's not exactly a whole base plate, but it's almost 3/4 of a base plate in its size. All in all, there's some pretty decent build techniques in here, but there are a few key things that make some of this a little weird. I know that when we got up to the area with the, let's see if I can pull it back just a little bit. We get up to the area with the stairs over here. There's some parts of this build technique that just did not fly with me. And I would be very warning in that that staircase is a bit of a troublemaker. All right, and then of course you're here actually for the build. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you really good things about this build. It utilizes standard size bricks. So if you were wondering, does this have the brick size that we want? Yes, they are compatible with Lego and Brickcraft and Luma Bricks and Barweir and Make It Blocks and all the other ones that we've pretty much talked about, even Kaye and was it Jai-Star. They're all compatible. They do use those standard bricks. And for the most part, everything has a pretty decent clutch to it, which is what we want. We want decent building blocks, and we want them kind of in our standard size. That if I didn't want to keep this as is, or I wanted to alter this up a little bit, I could, right? And I think that's a key thing here, is that this does have the ability to be altered because it does use those standard bricks. Now, we don't have any printed parts in this. All we have are stickers. Stickers are okay. We've got, of course, the sticker here for the fan, for the AC. Build-wise, for a lot of this, I think it works. There's a few things I would probably change down the road, but for the most part, out of the box of what we're building, a lot of this works out really nice. You have detail on the inside as well as lights. You have, I believe, 3 different lights. So 2 of the basic stud ones and then 1 bar light. Down here on the bottom where we have our street vendor portion of our botanical house, we've got some really beautiful stuff here. Of course, we got an outdoor sign. Now this is loose and it does cross 2 tiles, which I did cut. That's just something to keep in mind. I often don't like it when stickers go across multiple areas, so I will cut mine down between each one of the pieces. Now, there is a little bit of alteration in that I don't have the flowers here because it was hindering the door. But look, we've got this wonderful sign. We got the flowers, we got welcome. We've got this kind of sign over here along with this really uniquely built street lamp. There's a lot of really good things in here. We get another balcony section here for the apartment. And then we get these giant sunflowers and rooftop plants on the very tip top. We got some beautiful plant work up here on the top, and just to let you know, that's not actually white, that's kind of a minty green. It's very hard to see with these lights, but we've got some very nice kind of like lily pad sort of designs on the outside. We get this really well built light post, which I like, and there's some aspects of this, honestly, that I'd be willing to build my own light post out of because I think it works really, really nicely. The way that they're doing the vine work makes a lot of sense, and it's actually pretty cool, which I like. We get some signs and stuff on the outside of the apartment, and then up here we get the continuation of the plants up top. We get some building pieces up here so you can see inside the bedroom. We get this sort of portion down here, which is the kind of apartment, and that piece back there, it looks like a shelf, is actually supposed to be stairs. Though I will go ahead and tell you, the way that we built the stairs would make for a really good shelf. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you, I did alter this portion up quite a bit. Now, originally, it had us coming out of the lines here and going down. I built this in, so this crate and these pieces here for our electronics are not actually a part of the build. So that is something to keep in mind. It is outright just open. Now, it does come with the battery box. I ended up taking mine and doing it with a USB that has that standard plug. Let's take a look. Let's turn that light off and see how well it looks with the lights off. Okay, and this is with the lights off. I have a lot of other studio lights in here, but we can see that they're actually fairly bright even with a lot of the lights on in here. We get this bottom, and it's all done in this kind of yellow light in here, which is nice. But we get all this really nice detail of plants in here. And then I love the way that the front of this building was set up. We get the light up here in the apartment. Pretty decent on storytelling aspect as well. So we get more stuff in here for the apartment. This gets the bar light. And then we have the interior light up here for the bedroom. Let's take a look at that bedroom. Okay, so the interior portion of this. So the light is actually buried under this desk. And we get just a few things here. We get a little narrow area there for the stairs. And we get a bed. But a lot of this is not really accessible. This thing is modular in that you can take the floors off. But as we get into the bad stuff, let's talk about some of the bad going on now. There are some things in here that could be a big make or break for some people. It was definitely frustrating for me. And again, I've been building for 40 years, so I was kind of concerned about how this was going to be put together. And there was a few times I did want to quit. Now, I did go ahead and leave the roof portion off of the top here. This is modular in that each one of these sections does come down. It's not dollhouse, so you can't open it up on that level. In order to get in, you have to remove the floor, which, for the most part, hey, that would be okay. I can get into the roof up here without a problem. Okay, well, I want to remove this floor. I can, so I can just tilt and move this. Oh, but look, I'm now caught by a wire that runs up through the build. Now, I could, in theory, unplug the wire, pull the whole thing off, and move on, except that every time you plug in and take out a wire, especially if it's not a high quality piece, you stand a chance of breaking that plug. And that became a really big portion of concern for me because of the fact that, hey, I now can't really get into any parts of this build because now I'm dealing with a wire. And you'll see it right there. There's a wire there. And then if I go down, there's a wire even there. So even though that this is modular, if you're going to wire it up with electronics, with the lights, the LED lights that come with it, be prepared to be hindered by how much you can do. And if you're just going to put it up as a display and build it as is, you know, put your figures in there beforehand. But if you're someone like me that likes to go in and alter things and move things around, that becomes a bit of a problem. Now, other things. Down here, it actually had for us to put little green 1x1 plates in there. I don't like having loose pieces like that too often. That to me is kind of a red flag. That was something that automatically I pulled and I was like, I'll just have empty crates. That seems to be a better option. Over here on our banister, we do have some difference in sizes between plates and bars. And I really felt like this should have been tiled. There's also not a lot of room for some of these flowers, including this flower that had to move because it wouldn't allow the door to open, which is kind of a big deal. The base itself is very bulky, I'll go ahead and tell you that. It's nice though because it can plug up to other bases, especially if you have those 16 by 16 stud plates that can kind of like lock one into the other. They're about the size of a brick, but they're a big base plate with Technic holes on it. Those would work really well with this. Other things to note, this sign, even though I think it's very cool, it has a tendency to break on you a lot. There's nothing to reinforce this. And oftentimes I find when I move this thing, oh, it doesn't want to do it now. But I found that it was really hard to set up because it kept falling over and over and over. Now, besides for the wires and besides for the wires and the loose pieces and the modular aspect, like I said, I told you that I had added this particular piece here, which I added this crate. I put this in here because I wanted to hide the wires to make like a little junction box. I felt like that was a better way of doing it. They initially have you adding the router here on the side of the stairs and then just plugging everything up. Also, it comes with the battery box that has a wire about yay long and it just hangs off the side. There's nowhere to put this thing. There's nowhere to hide this wire the way that we would run it under tiles and stuff. The tiles themselves don't have a deep enough groove that there's really nowhere to pinch the wire down to hide it into the build. So that's a bit of a red flag for me as far as the lighting kit. If it didn't have a lighting kit, I think that this would still be highly worth it. The lighting kit makes it fun, but this almost feels like this should have not had a lighting kit in it, and it would have still been a great build without having to have that. My last area of contention is this right here. Now this stair set, if you notice here, we've got some issues where we have bricks that are basically falling because there is tension problems. Now each one of these is their own banister piece, which already causes issues because unless you put plate and then pin down, these tend to not want to stick. Also, these are 2x3 bricks, and anytime you put any pressure on it and this thing collapses, the whole thing collapses. That is a major problem for me. Not to mention there's not a lot going on over here that we probably could have used some sort of decoration. Honestly, if I keep this as is, I will be rebuilding a lot of the base, a lot of this, and some other aspects of it, probably just leaving the lights in the bottom and then rebuilding the rest of it outright. Listen, overall, I did feel like this was a fun build, with the exception of a few pieces here and there. Like, I really did enjoy putting it together. I thought it was a nice build, and for the price that we're paying for it, it is really cheap. There's not a lot of new techniques I learned from it. Normally I go into a build looking for, hey, what can I learn out of this set? What can I add to my repertoire of knowledge of brick building? And there's a few things that's like, they're interesting in build. Overall, this is not like an overly exciting build, but it's still a decent build. It's still fun, calm, and has a lot of very beautiful sand blue, kind of sand coyote, and some really decent sand yellow colors in it that make it worthwhile. It's a very subdued piece. It's a very beautiful piece, and it has some pretty interesting building stuff in it. The way that we dealt with the power line is very nice. I will admit that that is a cool set piece overall. I think for the price that you're paying for this, in my opinion, it's definitely worth it. But I will go ahead and tell you, the stairs and a few areas of electronics might give you frustration. So that might be areas to, like, when I know I gotta build this portion, maybe I take the day off, sort of thing. I'll have this down in the shop below, so if you're wanting to pick it up, you can pick it up from my affiliate link. It does help out the channel quite a bit. And yeah, let me know, what part of this do you like? What part do you think is beautiful? What part do you think that you would focus on the most? What do you like? What do you not like, right? Be sure to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications to be alerted if anything comes from me to you. Comment down below and like this video. It helps YouTube know that you like what I'm making. Want to help out the channel? Be sure to get something out of the affiliate link down below or in the shop in the link tree in the bio. Hey, I love you all. Jesus loves you more. There's nothing you can do about it. Good luck with the build and happy brick hunting.